Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his last servant. I'd like to just get started with welcoming my brother, Lonnie Saboor, who I've known for a very, very long time. He is a long-time active member in our community from the Nation of Islam days in Chicago. He is the director of the Small Business Development Invest Atlanta, the City of Atlanta's Economic Development Agency that is chaired by the mayor. Lonnie, thank you for taking time out to be on Study Al-Islam and to share the invaluable work that you do in Atlanta. Please, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Alaikum salam.
This is my pleasure to be able to bring a few remarks and also go over the program information, a little about my history, as was mentioned. So back in the day, in the Nation's Day, I was a Southern Regional Business Manager for the Nation of Islam out of Atlanta. Started with the Army Life of Muhammad and Imam Wardi Muhammad when he took over our leadership in 1975. So I had the privilege of really being at the forefront of that. And then back in the 80s, we actually set up the Islamic Business Association of Atlanta, which on to help form the National Muslim Business Association in the 90s. So I've got a lot of history of working in our community with economic development, those sort of things. And today I'll be talking about my transition from the community activity to working with the Economic Development Agency of the City of Atlanta. And I came in that position back in 1979 when Maynard Jackson was the mayor, and he had a interest in making sure that Atlanta is more about equity. So what you're going to see in our presentations today, I'll be talking about a lot of the programs that we've established over the years and things I think that also other communities can also do at the same time.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, I think I got it. Okay, small. So let me say this now. Somebody was saying something? Oh, okay. So the thing about it is that the programs that I'm discussing today, these are Atlanta-based programs. But the good news to everybody on this call this morning is that these programs are also available to you, no matter where you are in terms of the United States of America, in terms of being in a city, a county, a state, and it's accessible in terms of the sources of money. So I'll be talking about government financing and how really government finance can really make a difference in what we do. And here at Invest Atlanta, I've got myself and Cynthia Freeman. We are the two people that will process any kind of loan applications in Atlanta. We just added on another loan officer. Matter of fact, she just started last week, and we have a process of being added on. And I'll tell you why we've done that very quickly in terms of what's happening right now with the City of Atlanta's programs. Now, let me mention this too, just in terms of what I've been able to do over the years, is that since 1979, when I first started doing this with the City of Atlanta, I was able to finance over 700 businesses in the City of Atlanta, leveraging over $500 million of public and private sector financing. And I'm going to explain to you that this morning exactly how that was made possible from us receiving quote unquote grant money. And we're going to talk about also how some of the programs we have were actually no interest financing, and how the foundation of all my programs that you will see today, really, even those interest rates, this charge is like between 1% and 3% normally. So we're talking about service fees in terms of the normal definition of interest being exorbitant profit that's being made by the institution providing financing. And one of the things I wanted to make sure was that we were in a position to really make this money available throughout the City of Atlanta, but especially to underserved communities around the City of Atlanta at very low interest rates. So the first program I talk about here is that now the the city of Atlanta, well, let me backtrack a minute. So this program here, Atlanta Recovery Loan Fund, this is money that came to us from Wells Fargo Bank. Wells Fargo Bank received $460 million from the federal government to do PPP financing. And they decided that they didn't really need to spend that money directly themselves. So they handpicked several cities around the country to receive $20 million. So of the $20 million that Invest Atlanta received, they asked me to set up a new program called the Atlanta Recovery Loan Fund, which is $5.7 million. That fund is giving out right now interest rate not to exceed 3%. And the good news on that is that showing you how things have changed so much in our society. It was Wells Fargo told us they did not want to have the rates even to go over 3%, and which is kind of unheard of. You're dealing with these financial institutions; they like to charge a little more higher rate than that. But they were trying to make sure that the money was actually deployed into the minority, underserviced communities around the country. So we got, as I mentioned, 20 million, 5.7 million through the Atlanta Recovery Loan Fund program. And this program here is meant to assist you if you're looking at getting financing for your business in a commercial space, or for the first time, this program can also assist you if you're actually a home-based business located in the city of Atlanta. And for the very first time, too, if you have a business at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the largest airport in the world, by the way, we can help you finance your business in that location for the first time. Now, we did several years ago, we financed the first Popeyes restaurant at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. That was back in the 90s, as a matter of fact. And when we financed that particular location and Popeyes at the airport, it went on to be the highest grossing Popeyes in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the United States of America, and in the world. So you saw Popeyes anywhere in the world, the highest grossing one was the one we financed at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. There's a lot of opportunities there at the airport. And so we want to look at trying to find minority, underserved community individuals who have an interest in going into the airport. And this program here can assist them in that evolution, in that the development area in terms of being able to really be successful. Now, the program provides financing between $25,000 and $100,000. But if your project is, let's say it's over $1.5 million, we can do 10% of the total project cost. So we can up that $100,000 up to $150,000. Okay, at a very low interest between 1% and 3%. And these rates are fixed with no prepayment penalty. The other thing we're doing with this program here is allowing you to get deferred payments. If we analyze your situation and we see that maybe you need some time, after you got your money, maybe you need 3 or 5 or 6 months to actually cash flow everything a little bit better for yourself. We can actually defer the payments with no interest being charged on any of that for that period of time. So that's also an asset of this particular program. So this program here is really a game changer. I call this one of our game changer programs that allows you to do that. Now, as I mentioned, this is not directly government money, but we got it because we are affiliated with the city of Atlanta. Okay, just like a year or so ago, we got money from the Atlanta Rescue Plan money. The Biden administration came through the city, and the city also gave us an additional $20 million. So in the last year and a half, we've actually got $40 million that is intended to go to the African-American minority community in the city of Atlanta. I call this delayed reparations money. And that's really what's happening. I mean, these guys, they actually tell you up front that, Lonnie, we're looking for assistance, especially as many African-American businesses as possible with all this money we're getting. So we set up another program, which you're not going to see this today in my presentation, but we set up another program where we set aside of the $20 million Wells Fargo gave us. We set aside $2 million to identify consultants that we could pay for over a 2-year period, $100,000 a year. So that's $200,000 in getting over a 2-year period to assist anyone in the city of Atlanta that has a business license, either home base or commercial space, with any kind of free technical assistance they might need. And the people that we brought on staff, we brought on as consultant staff, these are people that have expertise, which means they've been doing this for a long, long time. And so they're able to help you based upon what you think your particular need is. And guess what? That's free. You need help with your business plan, trying to develop your marketing strategy, trying to grow your company to another level. Whatever you're trying to do, we have the individuals in that portal, but it's only available to you if you have a City of Atlanta business license in the City of Atlanta. A lot of people say, well, I'm in Atlanta, but really, maybe you might be in East Point, College Park, you might be in Stone Mountain, but people see, when people travel, when people talk to their relatives, they say, where you living? I'm living in Atlanta. Actually, they're living in Great Atlanta. They're not really living in the City of Atlanta. So the funds I'm talking about today, these are all funds for people who actually have a business license within the proper City of Atlanta targeted districts in the City of Atlanta. But this is our number one program we're working with in terms of assisting people that want to go into business, already in business, to grow and expand. And let me tell you, brothers and sisters, I've been doing this a long time. This is my 43rd year. I tell people that I passed Jackie Robinson's number at 42. Now I'm on Hank Aaron's number at 44. So in terms of providing assistance to our community. But I've never, ever seen times like this. I mean, when I was doing this myself back in the day, back in the 70s and the 80s and even part of the 90s, it was very little money. We were pretty much the only entity in Atlanta that was willing to work with people with low interest rates and sometimes no interest rates at all, just to kind of get things going. Now the whole basically the country right now is open in a lot of areas in terms of being able to provide this assistance to minority groups and particularly African Americans and female businesses. So the next slide here. Okay, now this is where we kind of get a little more technical in terms of what we can do. But let me start with the Atlanta Micro Enterprise Loan Fund. So, and that's really, now in Atlanta, we have street vendors. And I think most major cities have some kind of level of street vendors and that sort of thing. So the City of Atlanta asked my company and me in particular to design a new vending program for street vendors. And so we set it up. And we set it up as they can get up now up to $5,000, and that could be used to buy a cart. It could be used or kiosk, or it could be used to, and then now working capital, inventory, getting money that maybe you have to have the commissary to get your food prepared. You need to rent that space. It's also included in this particular program. But the good news is that, guess what? The interest rate is 0%. There's no interest. Okay, now, so one thing is this. We talked about Wells Fargo in the first presentation. This presentation here, this money is general fund money. When you pay tax in the City of Atlanta, that's considered to be general fund money. So we found out a way to use that general fund money to assist the street vendors. All right. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute from some other programs we have too, but just put a check mark by general fund money. So whatever city you in, county you live in, you're paying taxes to that particular municipality. And those are listed as some of the general classification of general fund revenue money. All right. And so this program here was set up with us through the city, by us tapping into the city's general fund money. So no matter where you are, that source of money can also be available to you as well. So it's a 0%, and I think we built in a 6-month deferment before the first payment would be due. So you get $5,000 at 0% interest rate, and we're giving you half a year to make your first payment. But ladies and gentlemen, you cannot beat that. But I'll move on. The second program, Atlanta Forward Loan Fund. So I took money from one of our other programs, as a matter of fact, and I said, well, right now what's happening is that there's a lot of companies going to incubators, accelerators, co-work space facilities, and Invest Atlanta has staff members who involved with servicing that growth community group those people trying to have an idea, they're trying to fine tune a concept. They need money for maybe for invention. They need money for technology development in terms of their concept and idea. So we wanted to find out a way we could assist these companies and go into the next level. So what we did on that one, I reprogrammed some money we already had in one of our other programs. I reprogrammed $200,000, and we established the Atlanta Forward Loan Fund to finance between $5,000 and $20,000 at an interest rate of 2%, which is fixed. And we also gave them a 6-month period of time before their first payment was actually due. So encouraging them to get in there, use that money according to what they said they're going to use it for, to grow and expand. But one of the members we have that received the money from us, they ended up a few years later getting over $1 million grant on their concept. They were developing a portal and a software package information that would be able to elevate work certain industries in terms of what their market plan was actually for. And I mean, that could happen. So we've had a very success story. And one of the things we look at also doing with Invest Atlanta is like, we like to step you on up. So one is kind of, they got money from Atlanta Forward Loan Fund. They got money from another program from us and a third program from us as they continue to elevate the ladder and get more money from us, and also at the same time begin to really further develop their business. So this was like one of those programs where it's a first level program. Before we didn't have anything like that that we were financing, but we figured that there was a market for that, and that has proven true for us. So that could be the same situation you could look at too in your particular city if you're not in the city of Atlanta. Our third program, Community Loan Fund, up to $10,000 and $50,000 at an interest rate of 3%, and that's fixed. And that one comes also with I think you're building what three-month deferment on the first payment. So you got 3 months after you see the money to actually make your first payment with that fund. But the kick on this program here is the fact that you can use up to $30,000 of, if you get it to over 50, can be used to pay off high interest debt. So if you got credit card debt, you're paying 12, 13, 15%. Some institutional debt might be 7, 8, 9, 10%. Okay, we can give you financing. This is the only program we've had that will allow you to get money to retire existing high interest debt. All right, and that's been a game changer for several companies that we've talked to and also finance, being able to actually get rid of that high interest debt and to give them a period of time before actually first payment is even due on that. And this program here it's a citywide program. I failed to mention that. So the Atlanta Forward program is citywide, as long as you're in the Incubator Accelerator. This program here is also citywide in the city of Atlanta. And what it does, though, it allows you to be located anywhere in the city of Atlanta and get financing for that. And it allows you to also grow and expand your business while you kind of go through that process. So it's been very helpful. Now, we do require, like the Atlanta Forward Loan Fund, we do require you to receive some type of technical assistance from an outside organization. So if you haven't received it yet before you make an application, one of the conditions for your loan closes, make sure if you sign up with an institution that's going to assist you in further developing and working with your business to kind of expand and take it to another level. Okay, the next one is this is the godfather here, the Business Improvement Loan Fund. And let me tell you how great this program has been for us. Now, this is money from the Housing Urban Development HUD. It's called Community Block Grant Funds, CDBG. Okay, and so these are federal funds. Now, well, raise your hand if you ever paid any federal money for taxes. Okay, all right. I think we've all paid at some levels what kind of federal money. So they make that money available to cities as a grant, right? And so what we did, I'll give you an example. Those of you in Atlanta, well, those of you have been in Atlanta for a long time. This goes back to 1989. Some people might not weren't even born maybe in 1989. but in 1989, I was able to, along with our company, to negotiate the expansion of underground Atlanta in 1989 when it reopened up for the second time, and we were able to get the federal government to give us, set aside $2 million that we use to finance minority and female businesses at that location in underground Atlanta. And we did that. We also gave them free consultation from an outside consultant that the city paid for. And we also gave them an opportunity to further grow and develop their business in terms of how the funds would actually be used. And we also gave them a year deferment. So check this out. I'm talking about 1989. You want to go in underground Atlanta, get the $100,000, and your first payment is due back to us in a year. Okay, because we got the money as grant money. So by getting the grant money, we don't have the same pressure as the banks and some other financial institutions have, because they borrow the money, they have to pay that money back, and so their rates are going to be normally even most higher in a lot of cases than you see now. And I always say that the days climate we're in right now is different climate because of what's happening with the pandemic, and I mean, the funds we got, were much more flexible now than they were back in that time, in '89. But this helped us in financing several minority businesses to go into underground Atlanta, and a lot of them were successful over the years. But that's just an indication of what you could do with this business improvement loan fund money, CDBG money. Another example of that is that I financed the first loan, no interest program in Atlanta's West End to a little strip center, first new development in Atlanta in the West End Mall area in at that time, 2 or 3 decades. Okay. Total project cost was $600,000. The bank put $320 in. Owners team put $8,000 in, and we put $200,000 into the project. We went to city council and verified and told them why we thought it needed to be done at no interest. So they approved a loan of $200,000 to this minority development group in the West End at no interest back in 1992, and it was very successful. They even paid us off early. But once again, capitalizing on grant money, which is your tax money that you've already paid, into the system, but give you that money back through our system here. Phoenix Loan Fund, back in the 90s and the Clinton administration, we were actually applied for, and we got financing from the Economic Development Administration, EDA. We got $1 million allocated from them as guess what? I know it. As grant money, because we got $1 million from EDA back in 1994, 95-ish, to deploy that back into the city of Atlanta. And that was right around the time of the Olympics getting ready to come to Atlanta in 1996. So that was money we used to help a lot of businesses out in terms of getting financing to grow and expand on that end as well. But once again, utilizing federal money, federal grant money. That's why I call this conversation we have today about government grant money, basically what I'm talking about, what you can do with it. And no matter where you are, if you know how to maneuver and you know how to work with your politicians, and you know how to really relate to the situation in your particular community. Am I good on time, Fitrah? I need to rush it up a little bit.
Lonnie, I want to ask you 2 questions, and before I ask these questions, I want to say to the listening audience that we have to begin to look at these opportunities in 2 ways. One, and Lonnie, please, if I'm incorrect, correct me. One is in regards our masjid, and the other as in regards those who are in private business, whether it is private business under CDCs or, but those who are in business to provide goods and services. And the reason I'm making this emphasis is because we have an intergenerational audience on here, and many of us from the Nation of Islam come with a specific baggage of dealing with the government. Then you have our young people who are a lot more educated, not just from school, but from what they learned from us, and have a lot more freedom of thought than we do. We have a lot of suspicion. So I'm only saying that in order to ask this question to you, Lonnie, because of we need to understand the differences in our dynamics of thinking. So the question is, which is a common question, our community is often skeptical about government funding for our masjids. Can you emphasize the strategy to use private enterprise to support our masjids? I want to ask a more general question so that along with this, so you can answer it. Accepting or applying for these loans, does this in any way place us in a compromising position or diminish our integrity or practice of our religion? Because these questions often get mixed.
Right,
go
right.
ahead, Lonnie.
Let me say this to them. Let me say, first of all, when I first started doing this in the 70s, I was like in my real early 30s. So I was like the young people on this conversation this morning. I was their age. Okay. And then, and so when it opened up to me was that how we use this money. And then also in terms of the best way to finance, help the masjids out, I did a 2-block development over there on Auburn Avenue with Wheat Street Baptist Church. So now you can't use federal money for a church, but you can use it for 501c3. All right. So that's how I learned. I said, well, okay, because I was studying the guidelines and the HUD money and that kind of thing. So well, we can't finance church, but you can finance 501c3. So with the Business Improvement Loan Fund program, I mentioned that earlier, we can finance 501c3 nonprofits who have commercial property. So they own 2 blocks over there in Auburn. I was able to give them, I think, about $80,000. It was like it was facade rehab and some interior rehab, but it has to be used for commercial development situation. So 501c3 owned the real estate. The church didn't own the real estate. They had a 501c3 set on the real estate. So we was able to maneuver that around and get the financing over there on Auburn Avenue. So I'm just saying that to say that there are avenues that have to be used that can assist the community. So, and I know some communities right now, even Atlanta, looking at that, and they're looking at developing things and that sort of thing. And so I think that's the avenue. You have to be familiar with the process, what's available, what's legal, and what's not legal. And that's where people get confused in terms of, federal money. I don't like federal money. No, like you might as well say you don't like your own money, because basically our federal money is money you put into the system. Everybody else is using it. I won't even talk about the down payment assistance projects and financing on tax credits. I mean, and this is your tax money. So it's like you sitting at the family table, and everybody else around you is eating, and you got an empty plate because you don't know. But everybody else is doing it. The whole thing is making sure you understand the legality and what you can do, how can you access these things. So my conversation today has been on just open our eyes up and be aware of the options, because this is not new stuff. It's kind of old stuff, but you have to be familiar with it. And once I found out how to work this thing, I've been milking this cow for like I said, 43 years, on all levels of activity. And so, yeah, this is a game. This money I'm talking about today, this is a game changer if you know how to utilize it right.
So this is for people who want to go in business. Yeah. This has nothing to do with religion. Right.
Well, it's religious in terms of from a financial perspective. You have a church, you have a masjid,
right?
Synagogue, and they know they got to form a 501c3. So they find if they develop a 501c3, and the money can be funneled. This tax money can be funneled to the 501c3 because it's serving the community need that's been justified. You know, maybe it's housing, maybe it's commercial development. You know, saying, but they identified this as a need in these communities, and they access the funds like that.
But if they're applying for this money in order to renovate, that's what the money is used for. It has no oversight on the religious aspect, is what I'm just trying.
Well, I'm saying, I'm trying to tell you, it's the structure though. So we can't renovate a masjid. Now, look, this is where I look at it. This is where I look at it, to be honest with you. Okay. I'm talking to people on this presentation today who are business people. Number one, they are Muslims. They business people. They like to serve the community, like to help the community. All right. Let's help them make them rich.
Right.
Let's help them lift them up what they're doing with their business activity, like Lonnie did over the years with Supreme Fisted Light. Let's have, like, you know, in Atlanta, let's have 50 Lonnie Shamsuddins. Okay. Now these people like that, they can donate to the masjid. They can elevate the school. They can elevate the community. They can come together and do development around the masjid. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just trying to figure out how the masjid can get money. It's the remember how I've listened to old tape from Imam Muhammad, and he was saying when he first took over the community leadership, he was thinking it was all about building up like the old nation kind of concept, building us up as an entity. But he said, now the Quran deals with individuals. If we can strengthen the individual, everything else will come. All the things that we can't do will become manifested. We can do these things if we strengthen the individual. So he began to shift more to an individual, tied into the Holy Quran about the importance of individual gaining insight and knowledge, and then putting that back into the community. So I'm saying I'm answering the question by saying that it's a way to do it. That's the key. In other words, the masjid, the community can be helped, but there's a way, it's a formula you have to use in order to access these monies like that. And that's been some of the things we've been lacking over the years, is having that team together that can kind of, you know, elevate that.
Well, Imam Muhammad said it best when he said that a community can never have impact until they have economic strength. And that is in providing goods and services to the community. And so you made it very clear that you're talking to the individual business people, and this is what this monies are for. My last question to you is, this is for Atlanta, but you mentioned that there were other key states that also have these programs. How can people find out?
I'm saying these programs are available in every state, every major city. I thought I was emphasizing that enough. Maybe I wasn't. But I'm trying to tell everybody here, everything I mentioned is available in every state in America, in every major city in America. Now, the size of the city will determine your level of activity. Like, you come to the great city of Atlanta, I mean, it's like you just went to paradise. I mean, in terms of opportunity and money, and people just want to give Atlanta money. I mean, first of all, especially Democrats, because Atlanta made Biden president, basically. I mean, what can I say? Well, the state of Georgia did, but I'm saying that. So there are larger opportunities. Like we said, I used to, when I was still working for them, was the Atlanta Economic Development Corporation, which is now Invest Atlanta. They let me for 2 years. I would go to, for one day, I would go to the city of Macon, and I handled the minority business development program in Macon, where I was still working in Atlanta, but every one day a week I would go to Macon. But I even knew that the difference between me trying to do something in Macon and me doing something in Atlanta was like night and day. You know, smaller cities, they don't have the impact, they don't have the forces to be in that kind of thing, you know. But Atlanta being the true city that kind of made things really happen for the Democratic Party, you know, whenever there's something to be done in terms of money coming to these cities, you know, Atlanta gonna be right there at the front of the table, getting all those resources. So I'm saying that with my conversation today, that's why I mentioned the names of these programs, the HUD money, EDA money, even the Wells Fargo money is all related to availability of resources, no matter where you might be in terms of that. Just knowing that that's what you're looking for.
Got it. So we have in the chat box where if people have further questions, that they can contact you. Is there an email where?
Yeah. Well, actually, at the end of, if I'm in my presentation, these are other slides. I skipped this. This is also programs available through Invest Atlanta, and you will have this too.
Okay.
Then I'm not going to go through this. This is some of the underwriting guidelines that have to be submitted to us for applications in that process. And it's pretty basic kind of stuff, but I want to give people understanding about what it is. And that's, you follow these deadlines, these lists. This is standard stuff that no matter where you're going to get financed, you got to be thinking about this information.
And so I don't want to cut this short, but of course we the time has run out.
Oh yeah.
But the goal is for people to reach out to you. Study Al-Islam is just highlighting the wonderful work that you've been doing, and we are.
So that's my contact information there.
Okay. Yep. So, Masha, if you could just put this in the chat so that people can contact Lonnie for any further information, and to the person who asked about these funds being available in other cities, Lonnie just answered that these funds are available in most major cities, if not all major cities. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact Lonnie directly. I would encourage you to email him and not call him, but that's certainly up to you. Lonnie, I want to thank you. I could never do it.
I got one last quick comment.
Of course.
The whole thing here is realizing that, and I go back to when I was doing this, with the National Muslim Business Association, in the 90s, and I told them, I said, listen, man, we got to get to know our politicians. You got to get to know your city council people, your aldermen, state representatives. I mean, you got to know, because that's when the money comes to your city or your state or your county, it comes to them. They make the decisions on what program is going to be set up. Right. So you need to be aware. You need to be dialoguing with these people, and to the extent you can have a strong delegation put together in your cities on behalf of representation. That as you talk to these people, that even has more and more leveraging associated with it. As a matter of fact.
Well, I mean, you've given your information out. It's now the responsibility of the business people that are on the line to follow up. I want to thank you again, Lonnie, for this time. This is invaluable information to the business community. We need to be in business. There's a reality about that. So that's the only way we're going to thrive as a community. So I got to move on, but I want to introduce our next speaker. And he is also in Atlanta. His name is Khaliff Davis. He is the Senior Director of Lending and Investments at Reinvestment Funds. But to my fellow Norkers on this line, he is the grandson of our beloved Sister Aziza, Betty J, and Captain John, who we know was a bad man in North. And this is the grandson of him. This is the Knobs' son. And we're so happy to have our our intergenerational leaders on here along with our pioneering leaders in this community. Khaliff, welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm super happy to speak to you all today. I just had a history lesson from Brother Lonnie. He was dropping gems, and so I'm super grateful to be on the panel with him. I actually wanted to double down on some of the things he said just to make sure folks understood, right? So, the first thing, like Sister Fitrah and Brother Lonnie commented on, the programs that he speak of that are for the benefit of the city of Atlanta, those programs are in all major jurisdictions, right? And so Reinvestment Fund actually works with a lot of different economic development agencies as well. And every one of those agencies have, these programs. And so it's up to you all to leverage them because it's right there and it's free money, basically. I think the second thing I want to touch on is the Invest Atlanta and economic development agencies and Reinvestment Fund or CDFIs, we actually complement each other a lot, right? And so Brother Lonnie, he articulated a lot of programs for businesses and to help their operations. So like working capital, purchasing equipment, facade improvements, that sort of stuff. The loan fund that I work for, we handle a lot of businesses facility needs, right? So if you want to build a new school, if you want to build a new health center, if you want to develop affordable housing, our loan fund handles a lot of those facility needs. And then the third thing I wanted to touch on that Brother Lonnie brought up is, particularly with his programs, interest is very affordable or non-existent. So they're not extractive, and they don't take advantage of our community. And that's one thing I definitely want to raise when it comes to debt, because our community has a very rocky relationship with debt, right? And it's damaged us from time to time. Again, being able to access it or programs created to be very predatory, right? And so what Brother Lonnie is sharing with you all are very powerful tools to help build businesses and to help build wealth in our community. So I just wanted to touch on those things today. And so, like Sister Fitrah said, my name is Khaliff Davis, and I serve as the Senior Director of Lending and Investments for Reinvestment Fund, a national community development financial institution, also known as a CDFI. So let me share my screen and we can get started. All right. So what is a CDFI? I get asked that all the time. CDFIs are private sector financial intermediaries with community development as their primary mission. The concept of CDFIs is actually built on the history of communities creating self-help credit solutions when traditional banks have ignored, marginalized, or overlooked them. The CDFI industry began taking shape back in the 60s and 70s as offshoots of community development corporations who got their start actually raising capital from religious institutions and charitable individuals that enabled the launch of community-controlled loan funds that invested back in their own communities. The modern CDFI industry really expanded in the 90s when the US Treasury specifically formed a federal program to start providing dedicated funding to these loan funds. Traditional banks also started funding CDFIs as viable alternatives to invest back in communities they have customers in as well. So we're not government controlled, but we're government enabled. And what we do, we collect funds from a variety of different places. So banks, philanthropic organizations, individuals like you and me, and we pool that together to then reinvest in communities that need it most. So today there are over 1,000 CDFIs charged with providing a wide range of financial services and technical assistance that promote development efforts and support the rebuilding of communities. they tend to have special knowledge in the areas they do business in. So for example, Brother Lonnie, he mentioned he made trips to Macon from Atlanta. Atlanta and Macon, night and day, right? And so what CDFIs are able to do, they are able to go into, particular communities and listen, right? And figure out what actually is needed in those communities and create customized products and programs for their benefit. So for instance, many CDFIs offer non-conforming mortgages or offer programs specifically designed for the communities they serve, like small business training. And their ultimate aim is to achieve a double bottom line, producing financial and social returns. So at the firm I work for, our ongoing commitment is to ensure communities work for all people. We bring financial and analytical tools to partnerships that work to ensure that everyone has access to essential opportunities, including affordable places to live, access to nutritious food and healthcare, schools where children can flourish, and strong local businesses that support good jobs. We have been around for over 30 years, and we actually got our start in Philadelphia. And since then, we expanded to Baltimore, and then later on in Atlanta, where I'm based. And then in our history, we made over or close to $3 billion in investments and loans across the country. So Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Atlanta, we consider those cities our backyard, but we're able to do lending all throughout the Mid-Atlantic region and in the Southeast region, east of the Mississippi. So before the pandemic, particularly for me, I'm based in Atlanta. I would do most of my business in Atlanta, but travel to Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, Louisiana, and just working with different, mission-driven organizations. We're actually supported by over 850 investors that include individuals, foundations, religious institutions, banks, civic organizations, and government agencies, and more recently, pension funds, insurance companies, and the broader capital market. So collaboration is essential to the way we work. We do that by organizing people, bringing together stakeholders from community groups to local governments to effect change in communities. We organize money by bringing together diverse sources of capital from banks and other sources. We organize data. We actually have a research team that brings together data from a variety of sources, and they pair it with their own insights to help inform local decisions. And we organize capacity by helping borrowers, potential borrowers, and grantees connect to the resources they need to ensure the successful implementation of their project or program. So as I said earlier, we actually have a research team that provides practitioner-centered solutions to investors and policymakers with information they can leverage to drive capital and resources towards building neighborhoods where families can thrive. So actually the background of this slide shows an example of our work. The map you're looking at is actually an excerpt pulled from our market value analysis of Jacksonville, Florida. And this analysis is actually a database tool used to inform community revitalization. So the tool actually breaks down and codes the market strength of neighborhoods within the city, helping local leaders and residents identify places where strategic intervention can control private market activity. We also have a business line that provides capacity building grants that helps organizations maximize their impact. So for example, we are the national manager of America's Healthy Food Financing Initiative, which is a public-private partnership administered by Reinvestment Fund on behalf of USDA to improve access to healthy food in areas with limited healthy food options. The application period just closed, but in this year alone, we awarded over $22 million in small grants to help support healthy food initiatives throughout the country. So We provided grants to farms, retail grocers, and everything in between. And this money from a lot of our grantees, and from what I heard, is very critical to either sustain their business or get their initiative off the ground. So the last business line I'll share today is our lending and investments business line, which is made up of sector experts that structure and deliver flexible financing that supports a variety of commercial real estate needs. So last year, we deployed over $200 million in loans and investments, as low as $500,000 to as much as $16 million. And, as I said earlier, we finance projects at various stages of development across assets such as housing, healthcare centers, schools, commercial real estate, food businesses, clean energy, and other community facilities. And with each project, we are committed partners every step of the way, offering guidance and expertise towards making the projects a success. So the different types of loans we do, we often do construction loans for rehab of existing facilities, or the construction of new build. We provide acquisition loans as well. Let's say you have a capital campaign where you're raising funds to do a particular initiative that's aligned with our mission. And those funds are coming in over, let's say, a course of 2 to 3 years instead of right away to get the project started. We're able to bridge those dollars that are coming from the capital campaign to support that project, so you can get the money fast and get the project moving. We also have many permanent loans, so 5 to 7 years long, to enable your business to grow and stabilize, and then you can refinance into a traditional loan at better rates. And so we provide many different products. And I think the key thing to our success is we're flexible and we're patient, right? So we don't come with a cookie cutter box predetermined when we do a project. We listen, we figure out what the need is, and we try to craft a solution that's custom to the particular project so they can ultimately be successful. So this slide is actually a snapshot of the type of work that we do. So Atlanta, like many other places, we face a severe affordable housing shortage, and a lot of our work in recent years has been to finance affordable housing projects such as this one. So if any of you all are familiar with Atlanta, if you go on the highway 7585, this project sits right under the Coca-Cola sign. I guess it's for us Atlantans, it's an iconic billboard. And we had to move mountains actually to be able to get this project off the ground because of that sign. But anyway, back in 2020, Reinvestment Fund supported the project called Thrive Sweet Auburn. And for this deal, we provided almost $2 million for the construction of 117 permanently affordable units in a fast-growing Atlanta neighborhood. And 23 of those units serve as permanent affordable housing, helping to address Atlanta's large homeless population. And so that just gives you a little flavor of the types of things that we do. I think Brother Lonnie mentioned Auburn Avenue in Atlanta in his previous presentation, where he helped Wheat Street Baptist Church. Brother Lonnie, we actually work on Auburn Avenue as well. And we supported recently HDDC, Historic District Development Corporation, which is a long-time nonprofit developer doing a lot of good work in the old Fourth Ward area of Atlanta. And we just helped them close on their first development in that corridor in almost 15 years, called Front Porch, which would include affordable housing, affordable retail to Black and brown business owners, a community garden, and a variety of other things that will benefit that historic corridor. And so, yeah, I think, that's it. I'll open it up to questions. You can find me here to, learn more about what we do. You can, reach me in my email, Khaliff.davis@reinvestment.com, or you can give me a call at my cell phone number, and we can talk, and hopefully we can try to do business. But with that, I'll turn it back around to Sister Fitrah.
First of all, I want to say thank you to both of you. We are running out of time, but certainly both of you are available. I do want to summarize by saying this, that this information that was shared today and all information that is shared on Study al-Islam is just an overview. And it is up to you to do your homework. But as Lonnie pointed out, that the information that is shared today is for the individual who is in business or those who want to go into business. The information that Khaliff shared, if this is what you are interested in, if you're in business, you need to follow up with them. The other point that I want to make is we now have trusted voices in high places. We gotta rely on them. This is what we've been working towards all these years, is to have people in place that will give us reliable leadership and information. That's why Imam Muhammad, may he be in the highest place in paradise, decentralized us so that the talent in this community could shine. And so I want to encourage everyone. And last but not least, we are American citizens. And these programs are designed for us. I see Lonnie shaking his head. We got to take advantage of this. We got to stop seeing ourselves outside of the advantages of being, of calling ourselves and being American citizens. We are taxpayers, like Lonnie said, like Khaliff said. These programs are designed for us who want to be in business or are in business. And so you got to do your homework. And so you have the information of Lonnie and Khaliff, and the best thing I can do is tell you that you need to follow up. My next comment is about 2 weeks ago, we heard from Imam Rashad, who answered the question of misconceptions, misinterpretations, translations from Arabic to English in the Quran. He gave an in-depth talk about Arabic translated into English and how oftentimes they're misinterpreted or they're not translated correctly. If you didn't hear this talk, I suggest that you, again, visit studyalislam.com and listen. What is my point? We know that Imam Muhammad taught us and coined the concept that words make people. But how do we practice this in our everyday life? So I want to bring to your attention a few words that we should examine. And in my belief, in our belief, in my opinion, we should stop using. These words are death, die, and dead. The symbol of these words is a scary skeleton head. It does not depict our belief in al-Islam. And what we believe is that the soul transitions and lives again and based on our behavior in this life. It determines our place in the next life. This is consistent with the concept of responsibility followed by action. One of the descriptions of the hereafter is paradise, a beautiful place where we will meet again, meet our loved ones again. Another description is hell. So next time you refer to your loved ones, a friend, a relative, a community member, a stranger, or you refer to me when it is time for my soul to transition, use proper words to describe this natural process that every soul shall taste, that we have transitioned from this life to the next life. It's not done and over. This is a better description of what we believe and according to what we understand. Stop referring to us as dead, that they died. These are not good descriptions. They do not bring to your mind images that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. And I'm only saying that because we've learned that the Arabic language is complex. And until we get better descriptions, let's refer to our loved ones that they've transitioned from this life until the next life. And my last is the remembrance of Imam Muhammad. We know that he passed on September 9th, 2008, 14 years ago. So we want to close with a dua that, oh Allah, in memory of our leaders, our ancestors that have transitioned from this life to the next, may they be in the highest place in paradise, a beautiful place that you promise those that do good work will meet and be rewarded for the good in this life, that they will be rewarded in the next life. Oh Allah, in remembrance of our leaders, our ancestors who gave their life in order that we could live, please know that we are working hard to make it to paradise, a place that you say every soul shall taste this process. Oh Allah, we ask that you bless this community with continued growth and guidance and inspiration, that you continue to inspire our leaders, our intergenerational leaders, our pioneers that are still living, and those who are coming along, that you will continue to guide us and that we will seek your guidance in this life and do the best that we can in order to make our community relevant and viable, and that we will follow the leadership of Prophet Muhammad and be a mercy to all mankind. In remembrance of Imam Muhammad, let us give him a good life, a good future, by doing the things and remembering what it is that he taught us. Watch the words that we use. Let's discontinue using those gloomy, doomsday kinds of concepts when we refer to our babies, our loved ones, our mothers, our fathers, our friends. Let us refer to them in the best way that we can. And that is what we're taught in al-Islam. Until next week, inshallah. Well, actually, yes, next week we will have another program, but remember the following week we will be in Chicago and there will be no program on that Sunday. May Allah bless us all. Have a good week. Lonnie and Khaliff, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of calls because we need to be in business. in order to be a relevant community. May Allah bless us all. And until I see you next Sunday, have a safe week. Assalamu alaikum and a blessed Sunday. Assalamu alaikum.